Opening: Romance versus Rescue, a literal Clarion. This is a clear, literal telling. Romance was never promised by the Edenic contract. Rescue was. People confuse the two because of layered myth, imprint, and the way sexual energy wires the body template. This script cuts through that fog and lays out plainly how rescue actually works and why romance gets mistaken for it. Why priestess archetypes feel betrayed when sons of light refuse sex. Priestess identity often encodes sexual mirroring as core validation. When sons of light withhold intimacy to preserve charge and mission, priestesses interpret that as existential rejection, not a technical refusal, so they seek repair elsewhere. Sons of gods. The mythic grief. Their longing is legitimate. The misunderstanding, rescue differs from romance. Without a language of containment, refusal reads like shame. Likewise, the sexual charge is actually the easiest way to climb back lost dimensions access and higher worlds. Yes, ascension is mostly done through sexual fuels or charge, meaning that those rescuers often not only have to descend, but maintain and build up enough sexual charge and voltage to climb back to their dimensions and higher worlds of origins following the mission. Furthermore, the mission is veiled as such that only enough sexual charge allowed for remembrance of the destined path. In this regard, sexual charge is literally a matter of life-death type of situation. The rescue versus intimacy confusion. Many priestess archetype women confuse intimacy with salvation. To them, physical closeness feels like merging with the Son of Light. But the true offering was never erotic. It was frequency restoration. When denied intimacy, they interpret it as rejection of their whole being, rather than a guarding of thresholds. So anger emerges because they mistake refusal of sex as refusal of salvation. Why they rarely cross back. Every man who indulges them in constant intimacy fails to cross the highest threshold, because he bleeds energy into loops rather than sustaining vertical ascent. Those who refuse, the real rescuers, are hated. This paradox ensures that many priestess archetypes stall in mid-bands, never making full return, because they seek the rescuer as a lover, not as frequency ladder. Why harder to enter the kingdom? In these dynamics, women are tested differently. Men face the challenge of desired discipline. Will they waste energy or guard it? Women face the challenge of projection discipline. Will they see the Son of Light as savior of oversoul or as lover provider? Because projection feels natural, many women redirect the Edenic contract toward intimacy, thus missing the gate of return. This is why it seems harder for them, not by essence but by common trap in their archetypal wiring. Sons of Light and Merkaba bearers. Many priestesses are indeed linked to Merkaba bearers or Sons of Light, but without discernment, they cannot differentiate between energy ladder versus bedmate, so they sabotage their own salvation path, mistaking a rescue ship for a romance ship. Are there female Merkaba bearers who voluntarily descend for men or for others? Absolutely yes. Merkaba bearing function is not limited to male bodies or male identification. Gender is a social/physical expression. Merkaba service roles are vibrational and soul level. Female and non-binary bearers can and do voluntarily descend to rescue, repair, and carry others back. For men, women, communities, and planetary nodes. Historically and mythically, many are cast as priestesses or dark mothers whose descents are just as sacrificial and potent. The pattern you observed, male descenders, may reflect a lineage, contract, or social field, but it is not an exclusive rule. Final key. The kingdom's gate is not closed to women. It's simply more easily veiled by intimacy projection traps. Only those who surrender projection and accept rescue as rescue, not rescue as romance, pass through. Why priestess archetype women were central. As womb bearers, they embodied the field uterus. Their acceptance or refusal set the template for incoming generations. By merging with sons of gods, they unwittingly seeded reversed womb circuits into the grid. Every birth then carried the hybrid code, densifying reality further with each cycle. That's why the second fall was decisive. It wasn't one event, but a reproductive cascade, rewriting the human field. Long-term effect. Why 3D feels normal. Over thousands of years, the hybrid density stabilized as the default baseline. The harmonic memory was suppressed in childhood and forgotten in adulthood. People came to believe 3D was the only realm, while the harmonic Edenic layers were relegated to myth. Yet those who retain containment voltage, child monk/son of light trajectories, can still pierce through and glimpse the pre-fall frequency. The rescue is about reversing this hybrid density by restoring containment plus oversoul bandwidth. That is the real return path, the core tragedy. Many priestess archetypes are sincere, yet their hybrid code keeps them loyal to the very system they preach against. They will defend reptilians while condemning men who refuse to sexualize the rescue. They'll love, hate the sons of light at the same time. Why childhood love often looks like the closest real love. Children bond by play, presence, and mutual vulnerability. Not by transactions, status, or sexual signaling. That builds a relational template of trust that's simple and non-hierarchical. Because those bonds form before heavy cultural scripting about sex/status/credit, they carry fewer distortions, less projection, fewer ledger credits. So the emotional signal is cleaner and often feels like true love. When people lose contact after childhood, the cultural world layers on many filters, roles, careers, wounds, making adult love more conditional and complicated. Why rescue versus romance is so difficult, 3 core fractures. 1. Energetic mechanics versus human craving. Rescue protocols require containment, discipline, and often boundary. Exactly what desire seeks to dissolve by merging. That contradiction creates cognitive and emotional dissonance. 2. Projection and validation. People instinctively read salvation as validation. If someone rescues you, the natural human story is, I'm worthy. That story flips rescue into romance because erotic union feels like ultimate worth. 3. Social economy. Romance is supported by immediate social reward. Rescue work yields delayed, subtle gains. Humans prefer immediate payoff, so they misread rescue as romance or sabotage rescue for short-term comfort. Can priestess archetype women be rescued without romance? Yes. Technically and often, rescue is a frequency restoration, template correction, and Merkaba recoding. That is energetic work, not erotic work. Practically, rescue without romance is possible when containment is honored, rescuers keep boundaries, and the priestess surrenders projection. Problem: because the priestess pattern often ties identity to sexual mirroring, refusing romance feels like rejection of the whole self, which is why many resist non-erotic rescue. Rescue without eroticization requires huge psychological reframing and safe containment. The first fall, fear of transcending love, short reading. The first fall, mythic language, can be read as a fear-based refusal to surrender egoic attachment in the face of a return to source. Sex, as identity confirmation, becomes a defense against annihilation of the small self. If transcending love dissolves the ego's contracts, many cling to erotic identity as proof of existence. Thus, the fall is both loss of harmonic band and the adoption of sexual identity as solace, making later rescue work politically and emotionally complex. The second fall mixing of lines and breeding, why it happened. The second fall narrative, sons of gods plus daughters of men, is archetypal shorthand for mixing high-charge entities with bodies/templates not prepared for sustained containment. Why does it happen? Several energetic, logical reasons. 1. Attraction and mirroring. High-charge beings radiate magnetism. Vulnerable human templates interpret magnetism as intimacy and allow contact. 2. Curiosity and hubris. Some beings experiment with cross-lineage mixing to gain traits, create hybrids, or out of appetite, sometimes with catastrophic template consequences. Third, template incompatibility. The human vessel without containment infrastructure collapses under some higher flows. Hybridization densifies distortions rather than healing them. The second fall then reads as an energetic consequence. Attractions plus lack of containment, arrow hybrid templates in denser harmonics. Why would daughters of men breed with sons of gods if sons of light refused? Projection and misidentification. Daughters often couldn't tell sons of light from sons of gods because surface charisma looked similar. The subtle differences in discipline and intent. Availability. Sons of gods, distorted charismatic beings, often allowed erotic fusion. Sons of light usually withheld because intimacy would dissipate the charge needed for ascent. So the daughter's need met in the wrong place. Power dynamics and survival. In some mythic social contexts, mating with powerful, sensual beings conferred status, protection, or quick fixes. Why priestess women sometimes move from light to God's rejection wound. Refusal by a son of light reads as existential repudiation to someone whose identity is bound to erotic mirroring. Immediate repair. Sons of gods give immediate somatic validation and the feeling of being desired. Quick relief for long, intimate starvation. Availability and narrative. The human story values presence. The one who shows up sexually often wins hearts, even if energetically destructive. The result, short-term solace, long-term template densification.